Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I'm Agnelina and today I'm here with my new knitting podcast episode. It was half a year, but I couldn't film those because I was in the knitting slump. I almost didn't knit anything this half a year, or I was knitting so slowly it felt like I had nothing to show. And I was starting these episodes, learned from one knitwear YouTuber, or how does it, knitter? On YouTube, just saying, a little bit introducing myself, and I was always saying that, yeah, I'm Lithuanian, currently living in Norway. I live together with my fiancé, and we don't have two lovely chinchillas anymore. It was a mistake getting them because I have hay allergies. They are hypoallergenic pets, so when we were thinking of getting a pet, I was thinking more about I'm a little bit allergic to cats and rabbits for their fur. We know that we don't have enough time for a dog. And then we sort of, I don't know how, landed on chinchillas because they're hyperallergenic, etc. And I never thought about when checking allergies and pets that you can, the pet environment is also important. So chinchillas has to have always fresh hay in the cage. Their food is mostly pressed hay pellets, and that was making my allergy symptoms worse and worse over those 2 years when we had them, and it broke our hearts, but we needed to say goodbye to them. So that was the beginning of my year, saying goodbye to my lovely pets, having some health issues. And then I also changed a little bit my hobbies. I was always knitting a lot while watching Netflix, watching YouTube, other types of videos or movies, or maybe using other streaming platforms. But I think by the end of the autumn, we decided that maybe we ran out what to watch on Netflix. Maybe it's time to cancel the subscription. Save the money. We can buy the subscription later on when they have new, shows, episodes uploaded. And at the same time, maybe we should try out HBO Max subscription. And I didn't watch that much of it, so that was my also knitting time. And I started reading more books, and at first I started reading like good books, like Holy Black, Cruel Prince, trilogy, I think it's called. It was so good, highly recommend, 10 out of 10. I really loved that series. Then I found, I think, Thrown Out of Glass, a series by Sarah J. Maas. Then after those series, I started reading Akatar. It's one of the most popular ones. That also was quite interesting. Then I started reading Crescent City, but I never finished. Now I'm 3 or 4 months past finished the last book because it was, I don't know, it was not clicking. It's not interesting for me to continue. And but what happened in the same time that I started getting Instagram, especially in Instagram ads, because I like to going into Instagram, watching all the knitwear for inspiration, etc., or what your friends are doing. Yeah, explaining Instagram, that's so needed. But that is, my choice of, doom scrolling, I would say. And they started showing me a lot of advertisements for those apps for where you read books, stories by chapters. And I noticed that those books were not that good quality. They probably unfinished books. It looks like, become an author, probably they just upload their chapters, and they do not need to do peer revision, etc. All these published books have to go through editors and etc. So in some there were terrible spelling mistakes. In others they were sometimes unfinished or sometimes illogical in some cases. But it was a lot of clickbait, and I became addicted to them. I didn't going to sleep not at normal times. It was hard to concentrate at work, and it was always felt distracted and included, because if you found that one story not good enough, not well written enough, and you want to put it down, then you go to Instagram and then you get new advertisements for new clickbaity story. I don't know, clickbaity uh, you know, few sentences, and you just, oh, let's see, if the story is good or not, and it was like constant reel, and those apps were not good, for reading and knitting, and I didn't manage to learn well to balance two hobbies. So yeah, that's my saying why I didn't knit that much this year. So it was just all, I guess, maybe internal turmoil, and I think yesterday I deleted all these apps from my phone, and I finally feeling more freedom and more time, maybe brain space, or I'm hoping to be. And I don't want to trash talk about reading and knitting, and I will try to balance them out and do them together. One of the things I done to when I was reading on my phone, I bought a tablet for reading and for plane traveling and watching movies while on the hotels. So the only finished project I done this year, okay, not the only crochet, it was crochet knitting project. I also sew a dress. That's it. That's two my finished objects after half of the year, and it was actually really used it up the yarn I have, because I really, when I'm knitting, I want to knit something I would wear and enjoy, and these were like yarn amounts. I didn't need it a lot, and I crocheted, not knitted it, because I felt like crochet can be more sturdy, and I wanted really, to save the screen a little bit, since, it's handmade, so, more safer when traveling, and I don't know if the brush would come next to it, maybe don't scratch the screen that much, but of course I don't want to put a brush next to it because it's not perfect. It's not perfect, I know, protection, because it's still fabric and not leather or plastic case. It was interesting to crochet it, so I started just strip and then go round and round. It was interesting to try crochet without, when switching colors, without that zigzag. And I knew that crochet does that, but I never knitted, long enough that it would become a problem, that the beginning of the round was going back slowly, so I had to, switch it up afterwards, so it would be on the side and not as noticeable, because I didn't want, going line like this. For it. And from the knitting side, while my slump maybe also appeared, was that my first plan was for this year was to reknit my Adya cardigan. I just improvised it, designed it myself, and it was, when I finished, I was really expecting to make a black cardigan to work with everything. I have quite a lot blue dresses. I love to wear blue dresses, and especially in transition weather, sometimes I felt like black cardigan would really go well with them. It would be warmer, so I could just layer fingers out, and it's nothing more comfortable than a black cardigan. And this cardigan, when I finished, I understood that it is not what I was really hoping. The first problem was that its neckline, maybe I will try to put it on. That neckline was way too wide, so I felt like I really needed to take into consideration what I'm wearing it with. Does it layer well? Does necklines clashing? Because with some V's it was going around another V-neck, and I felt like it didn't look good. I feel like instead of being this mindless throw-on thing, was like I had to plan if I can wear it with something or not. And then of course the easier fixes would be prolong a little sleeves, because I feel like I'm missing these. Because I was hoping that that it would grow. And now when I'm reknitting, and almost a year after, because I finished this maybe last September, October, around the time. So I had a few months, just knitted something else, and now in January I decided to come back. So yeah, I decided to make it longer sleeves, but it was top down, so to restart, I needed to restart knitting from the top, then knit, start with the closer neckline, maybe a bit bigger, because cardigan, if it's just on top of some things, it doesn't have to be such a tight fit. I felt it felt a little bit small, like this neckline was too wide, so I decided that I need to reknit and just be happy and try to create a piece I really love. So I recalculated my calculations, and another thing what was annoying, I really didn't like to apply this knitted double knitted button band afterwards, so I decided just to start it together with started together. So I decided to knit it together with her whole body, so I don't need to pick up stitches later on. I just, need to knit. And as you can see, I decided to frog this one because while I started knitting this double knitted button band, I watched the video for, I think, Agnelina cardigan for petite knit, how to start with double knitted button band and then pick up stitches, how to, start invisibly. And I think this is really beautiful technique. But while I was doing double knitted button band, I started lost the ball. I started pulling my tension change, my gauge change. So of course I knew, the first gauge. So I calculated all my changes by that one. So when I started knitting this one, and I think I blocked this one before, making a final decision that I need to restart it yet again because it was going way too up. It just, I don't know, it's not wide enough now because I wanted it to go, I don't know, maybe more like this. But I feel like how raglan shaping is going, it would come up like this. And that's not good. And this is bulging is my microphone, so I'm sorry. I'm hiding it with my hair. But yeah, it just started looking like it will be way too small, way too quickly. And my gauge changed, and I feel like, oh, these stitches look maybe even neater and nicer. I really love this one, but it was too small, and that also disturbed my all ideas of knitting this one, and I became angry and not motivated continuing in. So I started another sweater. I was planning, this one was not re-knit, but knit from the yarn leftovers I had from my first sweater. This is nicely folded. Actually, I don't want to re-fold it, so maybe I'll just hold it, and if I need, I will add a picture of me wearing it. But yeah, so I knitted this Icelandic sweater. It was Léttlopi Aflea 20 years anniversary sweater. It was a pre-top pattern, and I bought this yarn before I chose the pattern when I was on vacation in Iceland. I don't know, 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. So I started knitting, but I didn't know much. Maybe I knitted my first sweater before buying that yarn, so I didn't know well quantities. So I overbought the main color. I bought just one ball of contrasting colors. So the yarn is Léttlopi in colors. Was it? Not sand. Straw, pearl, and chocolate. Yeah, straw, pearl, and chocolate. So I bought just only one contrasting colors and a lot of main color. But then I understood that I didn't have enough to finish that sweater. So I needed to buy, and it was just by then, maybe it was in the same where I'm here with my knitting, then I ran out of contrasting colors. So I needed to rebuy them. So I bought, extra one ball for each contrasting color. But I had maybe 5. I was seeing that I will have left maybe 5 for the straw color, and it is. It's quite rough wool. It's not real. When I'm putting it on with short sleeves, sometimes I feel a little bit, but in the same time it gets comfortable by the time, and it's not that scratchy, but it is a bit scratchy, and my boyfriend really hates how scratchy it is. So he's, oh, I don't like this yarn. I'm not knitting this yarn for you. And I know that, for example, for accessories like hats, scarf, or mittens, I wouldn't like to have a scratchy yarn, especially with hats. I always had a problem. I didn't knit myself a hat yet. I should. I need a hat. Really need a hat. I think the last hat I bought in 2016 before New Year, before 2017, and I'm still using the same hat, one hat. So yeah, I need a new hat, and I should knit myself. But this is yarn, I understood that I cannot stand any scratchiness around my head, so I decided to just buy more and have, second go at, sweater. So I bought, and I decided I found another, I think Ístex still free pattern with horses, and I love horses, and I finished my horses knitting, and they are amazing, they're beautiful. It is the all pattern, so all the sizes they had, there was child size, women's size, and men's size, so there was small, medium, large. And when I started knitting this, after the failed black cardigan, my gauge was changed. So I knew my gauge, needle sizes and gauge with that sweater, and I think I needed maybe go up needle size, or I was going, no, I think I went maybe down needle size. So I started knitting, and you started just bottom up. So I knitted the whole sleeve. Then I measured my gauge. The gauge was different, and I just was almost fucking. So I frogged it off, and then I just said that I quite like the new gauge, and maybe it would work. But then I was thinking maybe to change, not to change things, etc. So I was really thinking, over calculating, and later on I decided to just go with women's size calculations as it is. I changed a little because I feel like the old pattern had not, it had stronger increase around here, so maybe more wobbly. And for the bottom, oh, this is also interesting change. They also had this like cinched in part, and I really hate that. I didn't want, around the belly, so it would be below belly, like line which cinches up. So I decided to try out, but I had no idea if it is a good idea or not, to make it a split hem. And I was starting knitting. I also have here, this is mostly, I guess, my changes on this my notepad. So I started with, for body, I think women's size needed, before joining up sleeves, the body starts after ribbing, then I think it increases needle size and stitch count, but it ends up with 196 stitches. So for 2 panels, or if I was doing split hem, it would be 98, and I added plus 25 stitches. So I started with 121 stitches, and then I increased needle size but reduced stitch count evenly. So I ended up later on just knitting the right amount of stitches as it is designed for, but so it wouldn't have cinching effect. So my still ribbing is with smaller needles, so maybe more delicate looking, or at least I really wanted it to look as clean as possible with those correct, not, yeah, I really like enjoying ribbing when those V's are not really stretched out and widely. So yeah, so I made it, and at some point I was really doubting, is it a good idea, not a good idea, to have the split hem, and I decided if I change my mind, I can always sew this down together later on. It's not a big deal. I made them the same length and the length recommended in the pattern, but I thought it could be, I don't know, nice thing to try it out. And as I said, I can always sew those edges together. The other thing I'd done, and I didn't do it correctly on the first sweater because I didn't know how, I didn't account it, and I think I was taking it a bit too low, the drop for the shoulder. So I was measuring up to, imagining that connection for the sleeves and body will be up to armpits, but it was below for the body shaping. So it doesn't look that well, but it doesn't look that bad in the first sweater. And for the sweater, I improved my calculations and done a little bit of body shaping, so reducing a little bit stitches here and then increasing them here, just to accommodate my more womanly shape. I think I'm really inspired, at least lately, by quite elegant knits, maybe negative ease knits, and this is my, chunky, warm, cozy sweater, but I still wanted to add a little bit intimidation for the body shaping. And yeah, so I was hoping, because the first sweater had some color work on the sleeves, maybe 4/8 rows, on the bottom of the body, after the rib, it was, like flower motif, and this didn't have anything of that, like that. So I was hoping that maybe one almost ball left over of each contrasting color would be enough. but that wasn't the case. So black, not black, the chocolate color, now the ball is here, I have left that much. So I could continue color work, and this would be totally be enough to finish it up. But going up in this core sweater, it starts as, I don't know, like going more bubbly pattern, and I don't see that mandatory in a way that it is really adding a lot to this stitch pattern, because I wanted horse sweater, and I want to be left with as little yarn as possible. So I was thinking, what if I just finished up color work as it is, and I feel like that is a bit contrasting, because my second contrast color doesn't have a huge contrast with the main color. I think they're too close, so you almost don't see this border detail, which is actually this one. So I decided to try, because I was running out of that Barley, the second or the first contrast color, try to make this border on this is one on the bottom, this is on the top. I decided to try it out and see if I have enough. So I just today finished up with this much of yarn left. This is yarn chicken, because the idea was, if I need to buy it more, so maybe I will do all these bubbly above color work. If not, maybe not, because I don't think it will be, wouldn't have as much contrast, because it's mostly, I think, my main color with this barley, so straw and barley together, and then on one place it would be with chocolate, and I think it would be really like bam again, while all other contrast is not as seenable. So now I try to make this border. I will knit a few maybe more rounds now, because I know that I had enough. This is my beginning of the round. This is the last stitch where I was when I was here, I was thinking, no, it's totally not enough. Maybe I will have to, forget those 2 lines and buy more yarn and finish it up. I think that I still, or at least not hoping, but I'm ready to order more of the straw color. And first of all, when I was rebuying those, they were quite consistent in their color schemes. Of course, it was different batches when I was reordering, and they are not really plain color. They have a little bit interest, and the color change would be around color work, at least for the first sweater run I was thinking. So even if color match is not perfect, it won't be seen, because the color work takes all attention than if it is really slight difference between colors. But at first time it was like I couldn't see any difference between batches, so that gives me confidence that probably I think I will need to buy one more, because I totally don't believe that. I think it's around 10 or 15 grams I was weighting it, so I don't think that it will be possible. But yeah, now I finish with similar motif as it is bottom top, now. So I think it will be just horses like here, and then I will just continue with the straight. So those probably will be my all, unless I change my mind, but most likely not. Even if I'm really passionate about reknitting and trying to knit something perfectly, but when I'm unsure in this case, is it good idea or not good idea, and I will knit it. So unless I really change my mind when I see it, it could be that I will just, oh yeah, that's also, an option, and maybe it will be enough. So yeah, will be a little bit like, I don't know. In this sweater, the color work I think worked better with my yarns, and the only place where I thought that, it's a little bit maybe bad, it was for these like small flower motifs. I think that they are not, bright enough. But overall, going from my lightest to the darkest, and then having this middle color like in between, and then, dark borders work way better than in this pattern. I think the whole color work would work better in this for this sweater if second color would have more contrast than the first one. I think they all have to be more contrasty to look really beautifully. At least I'm imagining that. I think blue, maybe black and white sweater, which was really, showing up really nicely. And if two colors are too similar, I start thinking that those more bubbly motif above horses doesn't look that good. In my personal, no, in my personal, in my opinion, all of my opinions are personal. So I'm not professional color work, and this is my second color work sweater with the same three colors. So I'm not, I know, most. But yeah, so I was unsure, and I needed to like replan it, and I was getting maybe anxious. And this, I think I reached color work this month. It's July. So I reached color work around July, so I started knitting a bit, I think a little bit more and more, and now going back to my knitting. Yeah, I think sleeves take months, body took months, and I think color work was done maybe from the beginning of this month. So yeah, this was quite fun, and I'm hoping to finish this before next episode, or before next month maybe, in the month, if I need or not need to buy new. And then when I was thinking, I think I was thinking of going last weekend, and I was thinking to have something to knit on because I was going to wait for my boyfriend and his sister. I was started knitting this pattern again. So this is my third time starting it on, and it is again, was the last ball. So now when I'm finishing it, I actually frogging that one out, and I think this one will be perfect, at least I hope so. Oops. At least it started looking like it will fall like around the edges where, t-shirts or other sweater like this sweater is looking on. So I think it will go really nicely. I think it, blocking should probably enlarge this, and this is knitted from Drops Cotton Merino yarn, and I got the faulty batch, so I got my money back a few years ago. So I'm unsure what is wrong with this batch. I really like this fabric it creates. Is really light, maybe not warm enough. I was a bit expected and needed sometimes in Norway, as you can see, middle of the July, and I'm sitting with the sweater. I was wearing Léttlopi in the midsummer, around midsummer days. There are warmer days too, but most of the case in Norway, you can work on the woolly things, on the yarns. It's not a problem here. It is not a problem here. But yeah, so it looks like it will be nice, even if, blocking will maybe grow a bit. Yeah, it looks like my gauge is smaller this time. It has maybe just 6 less stitches starting than the first cardigan, but it also has a thicker button band and I think smaller gauge. So I hope it won't grow as much as the first one. I also have few more buttons, since I will need to add, buttonholes as I knit. And I decided maybe not to try to go too long, because it could be not as good. Maybe because I think when I first button band, I done it every 18 or 19 stitches. I was thinking to do it every maybe 18 or 16 stitches, for example. And if I want to make this cardigan a bit longer, I might need more buttons. So this is why when I found the same buttons, I bought few more extra just to be safe. So yeah, I think it will go nicely. So it is top down, raglan construction, knitting together with, this is I think where the round started. This is marking where those started going in different directions. Double knitted button band. But yeah, I think construction looks nice. I think it looks so clean and beautiful. I'm really happy about this. I am feeling optimistic this time because I tried it. I knitted this one and I started maybe, I don't know, with more stitches, or maybe also with 60 stitches. I think it was the first one was 60 stitches I started with. The second one I started with maybe 42, and this one is 54 stitches. Okay, wind is getting up a bit. I think you're good. Maybe a little bit wobbly, but that's okay, right? You're feeling all right, okay? I hope so. I can hide my microphone more. But yeah, so I think this is going well because yeah, the first one was feeling way too small, and this feels good, and I'm hoping that it won't grow too much with blocking. Maybe when I'm run out of this yarn, or now, just try to wet block it, see how it's going, see if it didn't grow too much. Otherwise, it felt like it should be really good because I think a little bit it can grow, but a lot not. Otherwise, I probably never knit a cardigan ever again, because this was the finished one was my first ever cardigan, and this is my second attempt at it, and it's becoming real. But it's really beautiful from the technique side, and I think it would be so nice to wear. And this yarn is really nice to the touch. Yeah. Another thing was when summer came, I remember that I put one UFO in mind to revisit it next summer when I will be in mood for summer knits. I was thinking that it will happen as it last time happened around April, but yet we are in July. And I just recently, yesterday, picked it out again, and I put it into bag and then the box. This bag I made it myself. Yeah, this was from Sadness Garn Mandarin Petit. Color is just code 3011. So I know sandy color. So yeah, the first thing I done with this yarn was to knit a hat, but I didn't know at the time. This is my cable needle, and it was too wobbly, so I decided that I need to frog it, and it's something else. So I started frogging it. I was too lazy to to find it at all, so I just thought, well, look, lifeline. And I started knitting a t-shirt. And yesterday I put it on again after a year because I remember that I put it into consideration. I started knitting a t-shirt and I really wanted something more textural around the time, but I really liked, I know, sometimes plain things. So I decided to do like this cable motif. Then I calculated and started it. It was also raglan construction hat, and I was knitting it last year when I was in UK with for work, and I really like the texture. I like how it looks like. The main thing I don't like is the neckline. So yesterday when I put it on, attached the longer cable and I was able to put it on, this is way too white. And since cotton can grow yarn, and I really hate this white neckline. I don't want it. Besides that, I don't like neckline, and I am unsure if I can, because each stitch repeat is I would need to take out 4 sleeves. I think if it is 6 stitch repeat, so I think I would need to take out 12 stitches from the sleeves, then from the body to make it proportional. So I'm unsure if I will continue, like restart this again, or if I will just start knitting something else. But I think this yarn, whitish color, sandy color, I called it my, on Ravelry, I just named it a sandy tea. I think that, now I'm looking at this, I like it. I think it's the most similar or pattern. At that time when I started, it was not a tee, it was a sweater. It was, I think, Minto maybe sweater. But Mintos, and now I saw this year that the designer made a Minto tee, but between these motifs, it was more has a pearl bump column, so they are more divided, not as, because I was thinking this also looks like waves a little bit here, a little bit here. But yeah, so there is a tee. The tee is drop shoulder, and I don't like drop shoulders on myself. I never knit anything drop shoulders yet. I'm thinking of knitting a baby sweater from Knitting for Olive with the bird on top. This is drop shoulder. and I really adore that sweater, and I think on babies, of course, any construction looks good. But on myself, I don't own, I think, yes, I own one t-shirt my friend gave away, long sleeve t-shirt, linen. My friend gave it away, and it is drop shoulder, and even that one I really enjoyed. That color was perfect match for my eyes, and that fabric is really good, but I don't like drop shoulder. I don't like how it feels, I don't like how it wears, I don't like how it looks, and I know that a lot of lovers are for it, and for me, I'm sorry, I'm not the same. I want, I know, elegant, maybe more fitted. So yeah, I hate this neckline, how wide it is, and I think I was right last year that I need to frock this, even if it is sad. This is my only official stitch marker, because all others are just metal things. I'm maybe for sewing I bought more of them, and then I gathered more of them, so I'm just using them because they can be reattached. But I remember it was really nice to have this as a stitch marker, as where the round starts. You don't need to reattach it every time, and so that was fun to have, and I got it when I bought my first hand-dyed yarns. So yeah, it is nice to have. Actually, I in a way I get the hype and the vibe, but I decided not to overbuy it, so I decided that they will come to me at some point, maybe in gifts, maybe, I don't know, once I will find, really, once I really, really, really want to. But yeah, so I will need to frock this one. I decided that this project will be frocked. I'm not continuing. I need to redo the neckline. This is way too wide. It can almost fall off okay, it won't fall off the shoulders, not that dramatically, but it will probably show if it gets wider, the bra strings, and I don't want that. I don't like that. So yeah, and I was thinking, yes, the thing was, no idea. The first time I saw ranunculus t-shirt, I thought, why? And I heard it's so popular, but I think maybe I started too late, and I started maybe last year, maybe just only watching videos, or almost 2 years ago, and maybe it was 3 or 4 years ago, really popular pattern. Just, why, it doesn't look that good. But the more I looked, and the more fun, to have some fun in the circular shape, and then, just stockinette body. And I think that this yarn, it would look nice. I think, the pattern with this yarn looks beautiful. I think this is 100% cotton. Yes, and it is, I think, good quality, and in a way I feel like it probably easy breezy, growy. I think it would be. So if I want to restart this one, probably I would need to, as I said, it was 12 stitches from one sleeve, 12 stitches from another sleeve, and then 12 stitches from, front and back. So it is, 24 minus 48 stitches. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. The neckline, if I'm just restarting it, it would be, I'm losing this much, and I would need to do one more repeat. Actually, that may work. Minus all these, because I think the head would still fit. Yeah, and then neckline would be nicer. And I was introducing German shirt rows once every pattern, repeat, one like this. And there is, I think, empty 2 rows. In those empty 2 rows, I think I was doing those German shirt rows, because if you can see, the front is smaller than the back in the height. This is the height, front and back. Yes, so I was doing a little bit short rows too. Maybe I should restart, because the more I hold this yarn, the more I remember why it is good. And at first I bought it only 2 balls to make a hat. Then I just needed to rebuy the same yarn to make a top. So I have, oh, this is leftover. How professionally I hand wind it. Leftover. So cute. Such a cute little ball. Okay. Be normal. Yeah, it looks nice and it looks promising. Because I expect, I don't want to knit with this yarn, with cotton yarn, anything too form-fitting. I already knitted last year a top, and it was mercerized cotton, so I feel I read that all the idea about this yarn and why it's mercerized and gorgeous, that it is it's not growing, that it's good. And this probably I should expect more, so I would want to knit something more like not too baggy, but a bit more like loose and summery and nice. I think, yeah, I should think about it, what I want to do, and when I'm ready, I should do it. But yeah, so this decision was made. Like, this is, I can imagine this is only yarn, not a project. And I'm not frogging it because for I wanted to say for the gauge purposes, but what I learned this year that my gauge changed, and it probably will change again. I think it become looser and looser. As I said, I was mostly, I think, squishing more needles and not knitting looser because of this, double stitch, and I didn't want them to become floppy, huge. So I started knitting smaller gauge, but I think it looks nice. Because that was 3mm needles, and I was starting looking that maybe smaller needles also look nicer, because I feel like sometimes with the better or smaller needles it looks more precise and not lumpy. But yeah, I guess that's it for my half a year of knitting, and this was just only like revisiting frog it or not section. But yeah, that was it. I hope your knitting journey goes better, that you didn't hit as big of the slump, but if you did, I'm here to see that it's totally fine. How many garments you knitted, either, not, okay, 10 in a month, it's not impossible, it's impossible, but even if you didn't knit anything in half a year, or when you knitted, 20 sweaters, all of it is okay. It's normal. We are all humans. We can do and treat our hobbies as we want, because they're hobbies and they bring joy, and I'm here to share my joy with knitting. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.